going to be joined by our political analyst in studio. And I want us to then engage in terms of these elections. But let me go and take a seat as you look at, just some of our our production studios. Well, Dr. Mbete, thank you so much for your time. Let me take a seat.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so, of course, I think this was an important one, just to showcase this Results Operations Center, otherwise as known as the ROC. It is an exciting election year. I want us to talk about the changes and the fundamental changes. I talked a little bit earlier on that for the first time we are going to be seeing independent parties. And of course we have about 70, political parties in this election, 30 plus or so new political parties. Just talk to us about how drastically the political landscape has changed for you.
Sure. I think that this is a very exciting new election. So this is the first election where we're going to have independent candidates. There's 11 of them, 6 that are contesting for the National Assembly and 5 that are going to be contesting across different provincial legislatures. And then we've got so many new parties, lots of new entrants. South Africa always has a lot of political parties that contest in every year. This year we're going to have 74 new parties. 52 will be contesting for the National Assembly, whether they'll be on national ballots or on the regional ballots, and then the other 22 will be contesting across different provincial legislatures. And so it's slightly less actually than in 2019. 2019 there were 78 parties contesting nationally and provincially. This year it's 74, but what's really interesting this year is how many completely new parties there are, as you were saying. So not the kind of small legacy parties that we're used to seeing, but rather brand new parties that have emerged in the last 3 or 4 years, some within the last few months.
So just talk to us then about, because we have this change, are you finding a different sense in terms of, the mood on the ground? People are saying that this is a crucial election because we are expecting a change, particularly in as far as the ruling party is concerned. But whilst people are anticipating this change, there's a lot of fear going on, which is probably why you're seeing a lot of people saying, I still don't know who I'm going to vote for. But does that not signal then a thriving democracy in a sense?
Well, I think that, this is the first election where the outcome of the election at national level is uncertain. Usually, or in the past, in previous general elections, you could be pretty sure that the ANC would get over 50% at the National Assembly and then would be able to form a national government. This is the first election where that's uncertain. The ANC could get over 50%, it could get slightly below 50% and need to go into coalition in order to govern. It could go significantly below 50%. This is the first election where all of those permutations are uncertain. The second thing about it is that it's also the first election where there's a great deal more uncertainty at provincial level. So where we are in Gauteng, given what we've seen in the metros, it's very likely that Gauteng will have a coalition government for the first time since 1994. There's expectations that there may be a coalition government in KZN for the first time in a long time as well. There's also, expectations that the DA, which has governed the Western Cape very comfortably for 15 years, may be challenged in the Western Cape and may need to go into coalition to be able to continue governing. So these are some of the uncertainties that have made, I think, people, like you say, quite fearful about what the outcome will be after the 29th. But I think that this is a sign of a maturing democracy. When I teach about democratic consolidation to my undergraduate students, we talk about how when there is a change in government or when there's uncertainty about who is going to govern, that is a sign that a democracy is consolidating. The last thing that I want to say about some of the new parties that have emerged is that what we are seeing is voters wanting a lot more local attention to their issues. And so a lot of the sort of micro parties that you've seen emerging are built around specific regional issues or local issues of particular communities. And I think that just points to how people are wanting a lot more attention to their particular concerns.
And on that note, Dr. Mbete, let's take the viewer, in fact, down to where local people are actually talking about those very facts. Aphumelele Mzalane is waiting for us there. She is in Bloemfontein speaking to, various South Africans, particularly around the changes within this this election, rather, of course, the 3 ballots that we'll also be experiencing and seeing for this election. Aphumelele, over to you.
Well, like you have indicated, we are continuing to check the mood here in Bloemfontein just to talk to residents whether they are, of course, aware of this 3 ballot papers. Also, just to understand if they have, of course, registered to vote, and just to check, of course, because they've been, of course, complaining about so many issues. We have visited one of the informal settlements that has been, of course, without service delivery for more than 10 years. We are here to talk to the residents that have been residing in this area. Mama, thank you so much for your time. Let's start with the question of whether have you registered to vote?
Yes, I did.
Mama, does she know maybe the voting station that she's going to go to? O tlo register kae? Wa tseba mo tlamele yo register teng? Yo vote la teng?
Ke to vote la mo Khatfol, Hedidal.
Okay, Mama. Mama, wa tseba ka the issue of the 3 ballot papers? Lile la jwetso ka yona. Has IEC maybe reached out to you kapa mo councillor adulang ka mona?
No, our councillor didn't come to us. Yes.
What change would you like to see, Mama, wena more in Khatfol?
We need toilets. We stay in the shacks, Mommy. When it's raining, it's matata. We cannot sleep in water. We have children. When someone is sick, there's no way the ambulance can get in. No roads. Yes.
And now with this right that you will be exercising, o batla ho bona ho etsalang?
Re batla ho bona re tluile pela seloto. Re bolawa ke monko seng le mantsibu. Re a hosola ke seloto. Ho lahlelwa dintja. Ntho engwe le engwe di tshile lahlelwa seloto. Ke ditse pela sona. So re kopa hore government e re tlose plekeng. E re fe pleke. Yeah.
Well, this is just one concerned resident saying that there's many issues that she would like to see changing after she has cast her vote. But of course, asking about the issue of 3 ballot papers that has been introduced, she's saying that she doesn't know, there's not been any education or awareness with regards to that. But she's hopeful that her vote will bring the change that she wants to see in this area. I just also want my colleague to just show this area that we are currently at, as we heard from Umama saying that there is no water here. They want flushing toilets, and there's of course this high unemployment, and with this establishment having more than 10 years, they are still saying that they are hopeful come the day of course elections she will cast her vote, but would like to see that change that she's talking about. Just want to bring one more resident to just hear her views in terms of this issue of voting. Mama, have you registered to vote?
Yeah, in the registry.
And what are your reasons? Why do you see it's important for you to vote?
Ke register ke tlo vota ho etsa hore ho be le diphetoho ka ta ho vota mokgatlo ke tlo votela ho be le diphetoho ba re batlele bodulo re dula ka mekhukhu ra nela re dula slotong ho lahlola ntja tse sweleng wa nkga ha pula ena wa nkga rena di toilet ha rena metsi re kopa go masepala ba re batlele bodulo re tlose mona ga le re vota ha ona ditshebeletso ha ona letho re dile mo re dula mona ha ona diphetoho ha ntse bang re di etsetso.
mme o a tseba hore ha tsamaya a ya mane voting station ho tlameile o tshware eng ka letsohong?
o tlameha ke tshware ID ya ka ka letsohong.
Mme wa tseba ka 3 ballot papers?
A ke tsebe letho.
All right. Just one more resident sharing the same sentiments of course, the conditions that they are confronted with, that they live under, saying 30 years into democracy, they are still, of course, experiencing or living under these, of course, conditions, saying her vote, she wishes that it brings the change and also restore the dignity that they want, of course, to see of course happening or taking place here. She also mentioned that the ambulances cannot be able to access the roads in this area, mentioning that the roads, the issue of infrastructure remains a major problem. If you can see on my colleague as he's showing these visuals, we can see it's just the shacks, and they've mentioned that when it's raining it becomes an issue because the water comes inside where they are, of course, living and damaging, of course, their furniture. But these are the residents from Bloemfontein at Gatvol informal settlement, saying that come Wednesday they are ready to take their green ID and go to their voting station and cast and exercise their right and vote, hopefully this time voting for the government that will hear their cries of the issue of service delivery, amongst others.
Mdlalani there for us, of course, she's speaking to various South Africans just about their expectations, come this particular elections.